I believe that Hedera could be so legendary during this bull run. And the only reason why I believe that is not only just because, hypothetically, I could very well see HBAR go into the price of $3. Even despite that, I do believe that Hedera is focused on the right thing. Now, what is that? We take a look at how, even though, first of all, nothing I say is financial advice, we take a look at how Hedera recently has been having a lot of enterprise applications on its ecosystem. And I think this right here could be such a big narrative when it comes to this bull run, because let's face it, back in 2021, it was primarily retail focused. But as of right now, I think that enterprises could be such a big narrative because, again, even if we take a look back in history, what fostered the growth of the internet? Was it enterprise market or was it the retail market? Hands down, it was the enterprise market. The retail market did help, but enterprises, once they truly started to adopt the internet, that was what really caused it to achieve such amazing heights. And I don't see why it'd be any different this time around. If we take a look at, for instance, there's currently over 60 enterprise applications on the Hedera ecosystem. I mean, that is a lot right there. I mean, caralho, porra. You got to think about how that's insane. Many of its competitors, they don't even have like 10, let alone 5. Having an enterprise choose, their ecosystem to quite essentially have an application, that takes a lot. That takes a lot of belief. That takes a lot of convincing in some cases, because typically when enterprises, they make a decision, it's not just this single person. Usually they have a team doing their due diligence, and sometimes they have to convince the upper management to choose a place. So again, this right here really says something, in my opinion. The fact that, again, over 60 chose quite essentially Hedera, that right there, I think really speaks volumes. And I'm not really surprised by this either way, because if you take a look at Hedera, it's very special in a sense that the governing council is A+. I think once some of these enterprises see that the governing council, there's 39 members, they see the likes of Google, they see the likes of IBM, LG, Boeing, Mondelez. When they see stuff like that, I think they're like, whoa, okay, this does give great confirmation in terms of choosing Hedera, because sometimes social proof does matter. Like, for instance, sometimes people see The Rock like doing something and they're like, oh yeah, we want to do that as well. Or maybe in some other cases, people go inside a group, 11 people believe something. Typically, this 12th person has a very high likelihood of believing that exact same thing too. Like, for instance, let's say these 11 people think that Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit is a good movie or whatever like that. Probably this 12th person is going to be like, oh yeah, it's a good movie. Sometimes social proof does matter. And in this case, it's clearly working. And I think it's a great example of that. Not to mention as well, if you take a look at Hedera, its amazing qualities, I think really does signify the next evolution of projects. We get it. There's something like Ethereum, but Ethereum has sky-high gas fees and it's arguably not even scalable. We have to take a look at what has better potential for enterprise adoption moving forward. Ethereum or Hedera? Hands down, it's going to be Hedera. I mean, come on. Ethereum, I get it. There are Ethereum layer 2s out there that kind of face this type of nonsense, but a lot of enterprises, they don't want to deal with that. They don't really care about how many fans a project has. They don't really care about the hype. They don't really care what people on X are saying. Usually, these projects, again, they have a team. They're doing their due diligence. They don't care typically about what the retail market thinks. So when you think about that, Hedera, I think hands down, again, has better potential for enterprise adoption moving forward. You take a look at Ethereum, that arguably isn't even scalable, which is complete caca, by the way. I mean, I don't get how something in 2025, basically, and this is when the video is going to come out, but even besides that, Happy New Year's, by the way, but still, how is Ethereum in this day and age still not scalable? I mean, what the? Yeah, that's complete nonsense in my opinion. Also, gas fees are sky high. As opposed to Hedera, its native services can reliably scale up to 10,000 transactions per second and even beyond. Now, with that being said though, some people may think that, okay, Hedera can handle that, but why is the activity looking complete caca? They like to comment this. They like to say this to me, right? But my response is, yeah, sure, Hedera may not be seeing the best activity as of right now, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it can't handle it. Like, for instance, does a Ferrari need to be going like 100 miles an hour, like 24/7? Like, no, I mean, that'd be crazy. That'd be literally impossible to go anywhere. But then it doesn't necessarily mean that it can't do that. You know what I mean? So the way I view it is that when it comes to Hedera just feels like a Bugatti or like a Ferrari or something like that. It could do amazing given the right circumstances. Like, let's say it's in the Autobahn in Germany, which I've been there, by the way. I've been to Germany before. I've been there twice. I've been to the Autobahn. But yeah, besides that point, like, or let's say like a racetrack or something like that, then yeah, then they can truly shine. But we haven't seen that racetrack, quote unquote, or Autobahn moment when it comes to Hedera because it really hasn't seen that much activity. However, I still do believe that better days are ahead. Now, some people may think that, okay, even despite all this, who cares about enterprise adoption? Because typically they think that it's going to matter like years down the line. But in my opinion, even though in a literal sense, yeah, that's somewhat true, in the world of cryptocurrencies, I think that sometimes it works in the opposite direction where people care about what something could be, right? They don't really care about what it is as of right now. So during a fully fledged bull run, this could be such a huge proponent or a huge story for HBAR to do very well. HBAR has done very well, hypothetically, much like I predicted. But I do believe better days are ahead because, again, $3 during this bull run, that's still my price target. And sometimes people like to say that, okay, Hedera, this is caca. But when you take a look at Hedera hash graph, a directed acyclic graph, this right here is fantastic. It has very low energy consumption. Allegedly, Hedera per transaction on average actually consumes less energy than, for instance, Solana, Cardano. You take a look at, for instance, the BNB chain. So when you take a look at something like Hedera, this is pretty much one of a kind. I understand how when it comes to, in terms of the flash or the interesting factor or the fun aspect, it's not really there. I get it. It's quote unquote somewhat a boring project, but I think there's beauty and simplicity. It's like eating steak with salt and pepper. I think that's all I need. I don't need any more random nonsense. Like, I don't need A1 sauce, all this type of stuff. I just like to keep it plain and simple, if that makes sense. The way I take a look at it is that Ethereum, it's like Denny's. Hedera, it's like Sizzler. One is quantity, the other one is quality. Now, let me explain why. If you take a look at Denny's, there's a bunch of locations. There's a lot of fans. There's a lot of hype. And granted, I'm not saying that Denny's is caca. I'm not saying that. It's actually pretty good. And back in college, I did eat in Denny's quite a lot. But even besides that, what has a better vibe? What has a better ambiance, right? What, in my opinion, tastes better? I think hands down it's going to be Sizzler. May not have the locations like a Denny's, but it's just better in my opinion. When I take a look at Hedera, it's like Sizzler. Ethereum, it's like Denny's. Sure, Denny's is okay, but I think Sizzler is fantastic, and it's one of my favorite restaurants of all time. But even besides that point, the way I take a look at Hedera is that even despite it doing very well as of right now, people don't usually consider it as being one of the top projects, but I think it's just a matter of time because I think sometime this year, in 2025, man, things could truly shine in such a massive way. And I do believe that when it comes to HBAR reaching the price of $3, that really wouldn't be shocking to me whatsoever. Keep in mind, considering current circulating supply at that point, market cap would be around $115 billion. I don't see why not, especially as of right now, when there is more cryptocurrency owners than ever before in history, according to Crypto.com research. Things haven't really popped off to its true potential yet, but I think it's a matter of time. I'm willing to stay patient because I think better days are ahead. And again, $3 during this bull run wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gained value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's only the captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm a peace. Bye.